Thank you, sir. Good evening and welcome to the June 26, 2025 meeting of the Yorktown Zoning Board of Appeals. My name is John Meisterich. I chair the board. With me tonight are Anthony Altamari, Tony Tripodi, Bill Gregory, Bob Fahey, our town attorney Adam Rodriguez, and our assistant Nazreen Corey. So our first order of business for this meeting is to approve the minutes from last meeting. So I will make a motion to approve the meetings from the May ZBA meeting. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, minutes are approved. So I sent you a copy, Nazreen. You can write up the decisions. Okay, so the second thing we'll do is set up next meeting. So if you're here under new business, please pay attention to these dates. Our next meeting is July 24th, 2025, here in the boardroom at 6:30 p.m. If we set you down for a site visit, it will be on July 19th. That's a Saturday morning. We usually start around 9:30 in the southern end of town and work our way north. You can or may not be there. You don't necessarily have to be there, but if you could mark off what you're doing, if it's a addition or something like that, that would be very helpful. Your mailings would have to be sent for the next meeting. Certificate of mailing between the dates of June 30th and July 9th. If you don't get your mailings out in that time date range, we cannot open your hearing. Okay, so also you will have to put a sign on your property, a picture of the sign, and an affidavit. Again, a certificate of mailing, which is not the same as certified. It's cheaper. For the notice to the neighbors, you'll get the neighbors list from the assessor's office and a copy of the notice that you're sending out. Okay, moving on to our agenda. New business, Beeble. 1331 Echo Hill Road. This is an application for a special use permit renewal of an accessory apartment. So I'll make a motion to handle this administratively, refer to the building department, and set it down for a public hearing on July 24th. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Boonyi?
What happened
Four
to
f- oh.
Gosu and Sardina?
Okay. I'm using an older,
Withdrawn. Didn't need it.
okay. We still have Boonyi, right?
Yes.
Withdrawn.
Everything follows down. You just
Okay.
two hands. Yeah, we'll get these guys on the other side. All right.
This is 447 Waverly Road, an application to allow an 8-foot deer fence in the rear of the property where 6 feet 6 inches height is allowed per section 300-13F of the town zoning code. So I will set this down, make a motion to set this down for a site visit on July 19th, refer to the building department, set it for a public hearing on July 24th. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Diaz, 1465 Hiawatha Road. All right. I wrote the same thing up, so just make sure I'm catching everything.
Go ahead.
So this is an application to legalize an existing shed. There's 4 things on the application. One is to legalize an existing shed, which requires a variance for a side yard setback of 1 foot where 10 feet is required, and a rear yard setback of 2 feet where 10 feet is required. It was also, number 2 is to legalize an existing gazebo, which requires a variance for a side yard setback of 2 feet where 10 feet is required, and a rear yard setback of 2.5 feet where 10 feet is required. Third item is to legalize an existing deck, which requires a variance for a side yard setback of 9 feet where 10 feet is required. And number 4 is to construct a new balcony, which requires a variance for a side yard setback of 9 feet where 12 feet is required, and a combined side yard of 21 feet where 24 feet is required. All in accordance with section 300-21 of the town zoning code.
And none of these had building permits?
So we're going to give you this because we just want to make sure you get the notice correct.
I have it, thank you.
Is,
Wrote it.
Because it's there's complicated, and our original agenda
Oh,
wasn't
so, it's
perfectly
okay.
right.
I forgive you.
Okay. Okay, so now I remember where we are after reading all that. Why don't you just take us through briefly, but, you know, the drill will probably set you
Yeah,
down.
very
for
simply.
site-
As you recall, at the last meeting, you approved
That's
a
right.
second story to the existing house, and that required a front yard variance, which you granted. Then, as you went to your site inspection, we realized, well, I didn't notice until you noticed it and asked the question, was the shed, which has been there for many, many years, permitted? Of course, the answer was no. Same thing with the gazebo. And there was a little extension on the deck and a balcony on the second floor, which there was a misunderstanding between myself and the building department as to whether that was required, but it is required to have a variance. And that's it.
So what we're gonna do is I'll make a motion here to set this down for a site visit, even though we were there recently, but we'll be looking at these items more
Just so
carefully.
you know, nothing's changed.
Right. Yeah,
Nothing's
so,
been added, nothing new?
No, no,
Okay.
no.
but we'll, pay more attention
Well, the
to
helicopter
these.
field, it
Oh,
may,
okay,
these
I'm
items.
looking forward to that.
Set this down for a site visit on July 19th, a public hearing on July 24th, and refer to the building department. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
You want these other two?
So these others, these were down level, right? Raguso and Sardinia are
Make sure you
They're
cover
gonna be on it for
everything
next month.
next month?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They weren't
So
ready.
in the helicopter too.
what's
So-
the- So what do we, we're not gonna
Thank
read them
you.
out now?
No.
Thank you.
Thank you.
you.
Have a fifth and a fourth? Okay, come on.
So is Sardina the sign?
It doesn't need it.
Doesn't need
Yeah.
it.
Okay.
And now Raguso next
It'll be
month.
on next month for new.
So I should,
We'll mention it.
I'll mention.
Don't mention it, all right.
Okay. Alrighty. So, let's move on to our adjourned agenda. Bear with me. Find it. Damiano, 756 Hanover Street. This is an application for a special use permit for a new accessory apartment that requires a special use permit per 300-38 of the town zoning code. So, can you state your name for the record?
Christopher Damiano.
Okay, so this was a long time ago, and I believe we had a memo that there are multiple issues. Our memo from the building inspector, there were multiple issues that needed to be resolved. And I think you spent many months working on this, so here you are for
Yes.
the variance finally.
Yes, we
Tell us what's going on.
yeah, we have that. So the the septic engineer finally got the deposit. I'm waiting on him to make an appointment. Hopefully he's going to get back to me tomorrow to come.
Yeah,
to
I mean, basically, we're here to now look at the apartment, and, you know, as far
Yeah.
as the building inspector, I'll just make sure that, if we do grant something tonight, it's subject to you finalizing all your approvals with,
Correct.
you know,
Yeah.
the building department and a certificate of occupancy.
Correct. Yeah. I'm just
So as far as the apartment, can you just give us an idea of what, you have an existing house,
existing house. It's
you're
an
fitting it in to the existing?
correct. It's a Cape style home.
Okay.
And it's Cape Cod, and that's going to be on the upstairs, single, separate entrance.
So originally, there was no apartment.
Correct.
Okay. So,
Have a report.
just, yeah,
There is a,
It's not an extension, it's
there is a memo here in the file.
new memo.
The new memo's here in the file.
Yeah.
No, it's not an extension. It's in the existing home.
Thank you.
Yeah, if you, as you can see, it's just if you up the front stairs.
It's a new memo.
I didn't realize he would write another one. So, we do have a new memo from the building inspector, Steve Frayetta, dated June 25th. This is an application for a new special permit for accessory apartment as per 300-38 of the zoning code. The property is in the R180. In review of the plan submitted, I have no objections to the board issuing a special permit. This application requires a Westchester County Board of Health approval and a building permit. So, as far as, so it's, how many bedrooms are in the apartment? Just
One.
one, and the size of the apartment?
600 square feet, roughly. little less.
And I did see there was like a 30 by 30 parking area for the
Correct.
house. And
Yes.
So, the only thing that I, a little bit, isn't there like a rule that you can only have
Bedroom.
one end? No, you can have up to 3, I think, but there's only one door on the front of the house permitted, but.
Well, you have to have a secondary means of egress.
Well, the reason I asked that was, the first question I asked was if, like, this house has existed this way for a long time with the 2 doors. It wasn't, you know, they're not adding an apartment with a second front door. So it's not really changing the character and the nature of the structure of the neighborhood. You know, I think the second front door is just to avoid the appearance of like 2-family houses and so forth, but
The second front door was there when I
it's
purchased the home. It was always
so
there.
it
Yeah.
wasn't like built for the apartment.
No, no, no.
The door to the right is more like a porch.
Yeah, that's the dining room.
Yeah,
Of- It's just there's a door that was there.
So I don't think we need to
No.
vary or anything like that. We can just grant the special permit, not worry about it. Okay, so I will make a motion to grant the special use permit for the accessory apartment at, I'm sorry, 756 Hanover Street, with the stipulation that you get all the approvals, the certificate of occupancy, the building permit, and the Board of Health approval, in order to occupy the apartment. But I will make a motion to grant this based on that stipulation for a period of 3 years. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, so
Thank you.
you got the approval.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, Pajoriali, I think is adjourned, Reyes adjourned, Pan Bar. Is anyone here on that?
Mr. Chairman, I'll have to recuse myself on this.
Continued recusal for Mr. Tripodi. Okay, so just to get everybody up to speed, so the hearing is open. Is there anyone here to speak about this application, Pan Bar? Okay. So we took a lot of testimony over time on this application, and we closed and reserved the hearing back in probably March or April. And then as we were deliberating, we wanted to research an issue of merging, lot merger doctrine, or whether these lots were merged. And the situation is that 3301 and 3307 Lookout Street have lots attached, owned by the same owners, and they're attached and they front Hollywood Street. And the application here is to merge the two 50 by 100 square foot lots that are on Hollywood into one 10,000 square foot lot on Hollywood, presumably to eventually build a home on a 10,000 square foot lot, and it's required that the lots be 20,000 square feet. So I had asked our attorney, Adam, for an opinion as to whether there was any kind of legal doctrine that says if one owner owns two lots, are they deemed merged when there's an upzoning, which is what happened in this case. So I won't steal the answer from you, Adam.
Yeah, no, we researched the issue, and there's no common law merger, anything like that, unless there's an ordinance, an applicable governing ordinance that would merge the lots. They don't merge as by operation of law, and here there wasn't any, so they didn't
Okay.
merge.
So
We've had precedent for that over in that part of the world, in Mohegan. We've done this before.
I'm sorry?
We've done this before over in Mohegan. This type of situation has arisen.
We've done what?
Combining of lots and mergers, implied mergers. We've never had that issue. Like you say, I'm agreeing with you.
Yeah, I mean, you know,
it's
I
never
can't,
come up, as hard.
Unfortunately, I hear a lot that things have been done before, and all I can say is, well, I wasn't here then, you know. But our research indicates clearly that absent an ordinance, you know, compelling a merger, it doesn't just merge. So.
So was there ever an ordinance?
No, there was never, just a quick question, Adam. I understand that there's some septic systems on the property for both lot. That doesn't affect what you're saying in terms of merger.
No,
Okay, I just want to make sure of that.
Okay, so, again, no one in the audience, any comments? This is an open hearing.
Gotta come before the microphone.
Yeah, that's fine. So, you know, we have factors that we have to apply and weigh in terms of making a determination as a zoning board. The 5 factors are, the first factor is whether an undesirable change will be produced in the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties will be created by the granting of the area variance. So this is probably the most important factor, and now we just talked about the merger, and even though these are, so 3301 and 3307 Lookout Street are 10,000 square foot lots. The houses the lots on Hollywood are nothing to do with those lots, even though they're owned by the same person. So when you look at the property on Hollywood Street, that could be a 10,000 square foot lot. There are 2 houses right behind it that are 10,000 square foot lots. Again, they have not legally merged in any way. One of the arguments I think that we heard was we're creating more of a deviation or whatever you would call it, more of a deficiency in the lot size, but we're not doing that because these are separate lots that have nothing to do with each other. And in fact, adjoining this property are 2 houses with a 10,000 square foot lots. There is also in our record a house next door to this that was legalized in 1984 on a 10,000 square foot lot. So really, right in this adjacent area, we're pretty commonly looking at 10,000 square foot lots. And in fact, this area of town was built in such a way that we could be on 5,000, 10,000, 15,000, 20,000 plus. So the question is a 10,000 square foot lot out of character with the neighborhood? From a lot size point of view, I cannot personally feel that it is, because there are many other 10,000 square foot lots in this neighborhood. And the concept of character of a neighborhood is not, the aspiration of the town when they upzoned it. It's the existing character of the neighborhood. So that's factor number 1. Does anyone else have anything to say about the character of the neighborhood?
Can't change it.
I don't think it changes it at all.
If you would like to make a point, you can come up, but just...
I'm asking you,
Yeah.
what do you mean?
Come to the microphone, and then you can address us. Thank you, sir.
What do you mean by a neighborhood?
That's not that, concrete of a definition, but,
I see that.
if you look a quarter of a mile, I don't really have a number to
The
say
same
to you.
street is the neighborhood, as far as I'm concerned.
It's the surrounding.
Right, I don't know if there's,
some-
Adam,
Yeah,
like a legal definition of a neighborhood.
I think it's more than just the street.
Yeah,
It's an area.
just the
it's
one
gonna,
street.
it's gonna depend in each case.
yeah,
But it's certainly not the same street,
right.
right?
Yeah,
You can't call it the same street because then somebody's gonna start saying, is it two houses? You know, it becomes too narrow.
If you wanna make Yorktown Yonkers, go for it. It's shameful.
Right.
I'm Henry Obbligato. My concern, we live downhill from there. So, my concern is the water coming down from this, the trees are going to be cut down to build houses, and water is going to come down. Already, we have plenty of water on Hollywood. We have lakes on the road already. So we're concerned, cut down more trees and build houses and more water coming down. That's our concern.
Okay, thank you. So I also don't think that lot size is the only determination of character. I do feel that so we don't have a building to look at. So if I saw the building, I would be able to make a better judgment of the character, right, of the neighborhood. Lot size, I do believe that we're consistent with the character of the neighborhood, but if somebody came in and wanted to build, you know, legally, we're allowed to go 35 feet high, and that would not be in keeping with the character of this neighborhood. So I think I'd like to at least put a condition of the height of the building if we're allowed to do something like that, because if you look at the neighborhood, where we don't see skyscrapers there, right? And there's a hill. So when you measure the grade, where would you take it from? Legally, right now, you take it from the average of the grade, and you could go 35 feet from the average. I don't personally think that that would be in character of the neighborhood. So I might consider a condition on height, at least.
Do we have a rendering of the building?
No.
How come we don't have that in the file? We don't have the
So I
surface.
think that this is like, there is no building
No.
architectural plan as of yet, because.
There's no architectural
they're
plan
waiting.
yet?
I don't wanna
Excuse me, I'm sorry. I didn't realize you were going to do this quick today.
All right. State your name for the record, please.
Lou Panny, Panbar Realty.
Right.
I'm sorry, I got a little late.
No problem.
It's basically a one-story house. It's a basement, one floor.
Right.
It's ranch style. It's pretty much everything that's in the area. We're not building a McMansion there. It's all, it's going to comply with the area.
Okay.
That would be.
So
That'd be a
that
Tudor,
would
it'd be like
that
a
would be a
612,
requirement in my
812
book.
pitch roof.
Yeah,
Go for it.
six
Appreciate
on, no more than that, 6 on 12. Yeah, it's going to be, like I said, it's not going to be a McMansion. It's a regular raised ranch type house.
Is
You
it a
know.
raised ranch?
Yeah, it's a raised ranch.
It's a raised ranch.
Yep, I mean, it's a little bit more juiced up than the old raised ranch from the 70s, but, it'll comply with the area, no question.
Okay.
And I'm assuming that if we, there's been, water mitigation, plans put into.
Yeah, there's stormwater management, all of it.
And, okay, so, I know there's been a lot of conversation about the water runoff and that type of thing. And so to maybe alleviate, can you expand on what the
Oh,
water
no, we're gonna
mitigation's
contain
be?
everything on the site. The engineering department here, they require us to do stormwater management. We have to contain every area that's not porous.
And how do you do that?
Infiltrators under the ground will contain it.
How far along have you gotten with the actual plans to construct?
We have a building plan. I thought it was here. I thought we had sent it to you guys, but maybe we did not.
And
at
what
this
about
point.
the stormwater management?
We haven't done anything with it yet,
Have
but it's
not
gonna
done that
comply
yet?
with the state, whatever the state requires for stormwater management.
Okay, because basically that's under the review of the engineering department?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
And what is the square footage on the house? What are we looking at? What size, what kind
About
of?
2,500 square feet.
Seriously?
Yeah, up and down.
Okay.
You remember, there's a basement, so
Yeah.
half the
Because
basement will be finished.
Most of these houses on that side of the street are like 1,500 square feet.
Upstairs. If they have a garage, we have a
Okay, so we're
garage and a
including
half
that
of the
square- All
basement.
right, so we're including that square footage. All right, I
Yeah.
got you. All right.
Dimensionally, how big? But what by what?
The house is 32 by 50.
32 by 50?
Sounds about like the house next door.
So the height, I guess we don't have the plan.
I really would
didn't
love to see a
that,
plan.
but
I really would love to see a plan.
The height is basically gonna be about 20, let's see, it's 9 times 2 times like 6.
Well, you gotta remember, I mean, the house is it's cut into the hill.
Yeah.
So you have about 4 or 5 feet that's already buried into the way the
So
property
from,
grade
say,
is.
like the front, it's less than 25 feet high.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because you have maybe 5, 10, 6 or 7 feet for the roof. You're talking about 20, maybe 22 feet, the whole house, tops.
I think we should really see a plan.
I mean, I probably have a plan in my phone I can put up if,
Well, we should have that submitted for the record.
Yeah, I mean, we can't make it, if I don't have a plan in the record, I can't make it subject to a plan that we don't have. So I can make it subject to a few things, such as the height and,
Well, once we receive the plan, then we can apply the restrictions that we'd like to make sure that they conform with what you're looking to propose. If they don't, then we can have them change the plan. If I'm,
I'm happy to give a plan, no problem.
right.
All right, so we can get,
We have a really nice house that we do for
you can
that.
submit a plan to us?
Absolutely, 100%.
And can you also submit at the same time a proposed flood mitigation plan?
Yeah, sure.
Because probably at the end of the day, I'm thinking that maybe we should have that before we grant the variance.
Absolutely, I'm totally on board with that.
Right, where would the
Yeah.
infiltrators be, like in front of the house?
Probably in the front of the
behind?
house, yeah, because that's the lower side.
Got the, right.
Yeah, we could pick up the stormwater management off the driveway and then take the roof.
And you've also discussed with the engineering department the proposal for the septic sewer connections.
Our engineer has talked to them, and we have worked with the sewer department on making connections.
Have they gotten?
Well, we could get permits, we're just waiting to find out if
Okay.
we're gonna be going forward to get those permits.
Okay. Because I'd like something from the engineering department as well, indicating that they're okay with these.
Yeah, Joe Rena's been doing the engineering for the sewer work,
Okay.
so I don't think there's too much of a problem with the sewer work. And the sewer department doesn't have a problem with
Yeah.
everybody getting on it.
Okay.
so what do you want to do? I mean,
Well, I'm
if we were
think-
to
I'm-
say, like, let's adjourn it and so,
I'm
get
thinking,
another-
Adjourn it again.
I'm thinking I'd really like to see the documentation that we're talking about before we make a decision on the variance. And, some indication from, the, engineering department concerning, one, your sewers, two, your, stormwater prevention plan. Is there any other permits that you may think you need at this juncture? Anything about lot clearing, trees, et cetera?
I think there's only like two trees on the lot. I don't think there's
No,
much,
there's
it's
not-
somebody's
there's not-
yard, their yard,
There's
so.
not a lot there.
Yeah, I
right
don't think
now.
there's trees that are a problem.
Okay.
Wouldn't be fill.
There's
you'd
some
take
cuts
away.
I'm sorry,
It wouldn't be fill, you'd be taken away if it.
we would take out, yeah. And then not much either, because we have basically a cut in for the foundation, and the material that comes out, we would of course remove from the site, but there's not much going back in. Once we put the foundation, it's, pretty clean cut.
Okay. Yeah, I'd like to see that documentation before
Okay.
I would make a decision.
It's fine, yeah.
Okay, so at this point then, since we've requested and the applicant has agreed to provide further documentation, which is a good thing, we don't have to keep deliberating on the factors until next time. So I'll make a motion to adjourn.
There's a member of the public who likes.
Okay, I didn't see anybody. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't see you standing there, ma'am.
I
Could you
just,
state your name for the record, please?
Ana, obrigada. I just want that you people who are going to decide, when you make the decision, have in mind that the houses on the other side of the street, they are lower than the street itself. So the new house will be on the hill, right?
Yes.
So my house is all the way down below the street.
So I was kind of
Not
getting
just
at
my
that.
house,
I was
there are
getting
other
at that a little bit
houses.
with the height of, you know, in the character of the neighborhood, we're talking about the size of the lot, and that's the variance that they're asking for. But
There
I
are-
don't believe it's, you know, a good idea or should be permissible to build a very tall house on that side.
But it's not a question of being tall, it's a question of the water that is going to come
Well,
down.
Well, that's
we're
why
we
we
just
also-
spend a great deal of time talking about that, and we're gonna see what kind of plans are gonna be put forth before we decide, and see how they intend to mitigate or prevent that water from damaging people across the street. So we're gonna look at that. We don't have that information yet, so we are very much aware that that's an issue.
So just have in mind that I have a river on the back of my house.
Well, that's, so
I sent
Yeah.
pictures.
Okay.
So we did see the pictures, and basically, you know, we believe with the modern approach to building, you know, how things were built and how they exist today, there's no mitigation whatsoever for any kind of stormwater. And when this potential project, to even consider it being built, the engineering department has to grant a permit that says any water that's on that property has to be absorbed and mitigated and can't flow out into the street the way it currently does. So in many ways, it could be an improvement for the stormwater.
But that's where we're
but
gonna
we do
find
have
out.
to
That's,
review.
that's what we're gonna
You know,
find
we
out.
do
We
have
wanna
to
make sure that it
review.
is right. We don't wanna impose something that's gonna damage your property,
Oh.
right, kind of on the street. So we understand that. We wanna do the right thing, you know?
It's a lot of water, just
Okay.
have in mind that.
Okay.
If you want to see one day, you can go there when it's raining, especially.
Sorry, before, I didn't say my name, Laszlo Kovacs, next door neighbor. So I just want to remind everybody that we're talking about drain water, storm water, whatnot. I just want to remind everybody that these two lots, even if they are allowed to be joined, it's still 50% of what is required to build on.
Yes. Thank you.
Remember that, please.
Yes,
I will.
thank you.
Okay, so, you know, we'll stop the deliberation because I'll make a motion to adjourn this hearing until the July meeting. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you.
Moving on to our new agenda for tonight, Gebhard, that's, yeah, 3177 Mohegan Ave. This is an application to construct a second-story addition that will require a variance for front yard setback of 23.81. Is this the one? No.
No, the 23A one is what's there. It's between, the difference between
30 is
23 and 30.
required.
That's
Now,
correct.
there's one that we have to call it aside, right? That's Judy.
The next one. That's Peter's.
Okay, so can you state your name for the record?
Yes,
and
my
tell
name
us
is
who
Joel
you are?
Greenberg. I'm the architect. This is my associate, Matthew Cropsey, and we'll be here to answer your questions, or if you like, I'll do a quick presentation.
Thought you brought your muscle with you.
Absolutely. Well, you know, it's 2 against 5.
You can handle yourself.
Anyway.
A brief presentation would be fine.
A brief,
Nothing-
yes,
nothing,
very
uh,
brief.
Nothing
As the chairman said, we are proposing to put a second story on the house. Unfortunately, as you can see from the survey, the house is not parallel to the front property line, so one side has the 30 feet, the other side has about 23 feet. So because of the fact that it's not parallel, that's why we are here for a variance. The requirement is 30, and that's the difference.
Okay.
right, so basically you have a house, it's got somewhat of a, I'm looking at a picture of it here, but a dormer almost, the roof, the second, under the roof, is that like living space today, I guess?
Actually, it's mostly storage space upstairs. There's nobody living up there. That's why we have to, if you noticed, I don't know if the solar panels were off when you went for your site
Yeah,
inspection.
that's why the tops are on.
Exactly. Yeah, you took the words out of my mouth.
Come on, we were there, you know, prove that I did it, you know.
So, I mean, basically, this is well, more or less an ADA level. It does somewhat increase the nonconformity because I see the existing house, the eaves, you're basically taking all the eaves on the existing roof, so those don't normally count in the setback.
Right.
So we are increasing the nonconformity, just pointing that out.
But they're staying within the footprint.
They are, but they're building over these eaves, so the eaves don't count in the existing.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
You educated me.
So it's coming out a foot more probably than the existing, but anyone have any concerns about this project?
Saw the sign.
Straightforward. Pretty
Ask
quick.
anybody if they have any questions.
Yeah. Anyone in the audience have any comments on this application? Okay, so we've reviewed the plans, and I don't see that this would have a detrimental impact to the character of the neighborhood. So I will make a motion to grant the application to construct a second-story addition that requires a variance for front yard setback of 23.81, where 30 is required, at 3177 Mohegan Avenue, with the stipulations that this project must be built in substantial conformity to the plans that are submitted, and that this variance only applies to the requested variance and not the entire property, not the remainder of the property line. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Granted.
Thank you very much, and I'll repeat myself, have a great fourth, and maybe a fifth. You knew I was gonna say that.
I know you would, okay, yeah. Take
Good
care.
night.
Probably didn't read the memos, but hopefully there was nothing bad on it.
No,
I
that
don't
was,
think so, it's pretty straightforward.
you can hit the next one.
Peters, 1295 Judy Road. This is an application to construct a front portico that requires a variance. We're gonna adjust it here. It requires a variance for a side yard setback of 35.31, where 40 feet is required per section 300-21 of the town zoning code. So just, and maybe a little confusing to you, but that is considered the side yard of your house. You have two road frontages, and the way, it's hard to explain,
okay.
but it doesn't
Just-
really matter.
It's approved.
Yeah. They're both front yards in a sense as far as the distances, but legally that's considered the side yard.
And it's non-taxable.
No, it's not
Right,
taxable.
Of course.
And you don't have to do anything like move your driveway or anything like that. Okay. So can you state your name for the record? And just,
Thomas Peters.
okay, just tell us what you're doing briefly.
Just putting a porch on the front stoop.
Cover the,
Oh, sorry, portico.
cover the front stoop.
I like, you know, porch.
So when the kids
Portico
go to-
sounds fancy, but, you know, porch works.
Let me just
Cover.
read.
Covered. You're gonna be spending a lot of time out there.
I am. It is,
Make it comfortable.
very, for the kids to get on the
There you
bus.
go.
Okay, so I have a memo from our building inspector, Steve Frayetta. Application for a building permit for a covered front porch that requires a front yard variance. Now, we've
No,
corrected
side.
that to side, but I'm reading the memo. Of 35.31, where 40 feet is required. I inspected this property on June 24th and found no apparent violations, no objections to granting the relief. Anybody in the audience have any comments on this application? Anyone from the board have any comments on the application? Again, a minor project like this does not seem to impact the character of the neighborhood. So I will make a motion that we grant the application to construct a front portico that requires a side yard setback, a variance for a side yard setback of 35.31 where 40 is required at 1295 Judy Road, with the stipulation that this project be built in substantial conformance to the plans that you have submitted, and that this variance only applies to the requested variance and not the entire property line. So we always put that in on every variance, so it doesn't, we don't want to grant somebody the right to just build the entire property line. At
We
that.
have
It's
the
just the project,
architect.
yeah. Don't worry, yeah,
Paid for him, right?
Yeah.
don't worry about any of that. We put that on,
It cost enough. I'm not going any further.
we put that on every variance. Okay, so I made the motion to grant. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
It's granted.
So does that mean we can build it?
Kind
As
of,
far as
sort
the
of.
zoning board's concerned, you can build
You gotta
it,
get a
but
permit.
Yeah.
You gotta get a building.
You gotta get the building.
We don't know, can you?
With no cost, right?
If you're building it only, you're gonna hire somebody, I don't know.
Yeah, we got it. So now I gotta go back to the building department.
Yeah, they'll give you the permits, you can make sure, before they said no because you needed a variance, now you
Yeah.
got the variance.
They
now you
love
can-
me there. I'm gonna go there first thing in the morning.
There you go.
yeah.
8 a.m.
Is that true?
That's it.
Oliviera,
Good night, thank you.
Have a good one.
this is an application to for a new special use permit to construct and allow a chicken coop and keeping of chickens per 300-81 of the town zoning code at 2667 Ridge Street. Can I state your name for the record?
My name is Leandro Oliveira.
So, it's probably not too much to explain, but if you just want to explain briefly what you're doing, and we can start talking about it.
Just want to install a chicken coop.
And that's going to be in the backyard?
It is, yes.
Okay. Do you have any memos in there?
Just looking.
Yes, there is.
Gee, Bill takes all the surprises out of it. Let's take a look
Oh.
at that. Here you go, take the whole thing.
So I have a memo from our building inspector. I referred it to him. Application requesting a special permit to allow a chicken coop. I've inspected the property on June 24th and found no apparent violations, no objections to granting the special permit. Okay, so I think I personally have reviewed your waste management plans and keeping the feed and all this, and, you know, it complies with all the requirements as far as distance off the property line. It's in the backyard. I feel just the nature of this application and the situation, it's fairly well screened from the neighbors. Anybody disagree with
No.
that?
Look good.
No, we saw it,
Yeah.
on Saturday, and it was a nice operation.
So does
Looks pretty
anyone
good.
have any,
I know where to go to get my eggs, though.
I heard they're putting a gas stove in there,
1 year,
possible.
Thank
1
you.
year, the
Yeah.
first one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
first time around.
Chickens could cook themselves.
So I'm gonna make a motion to grant the special permit to construct and allow the chicken coop and keeping of chickens for a period of 1 year at 2667 Ridge Street. Do I have a second?
Second,
All in favor?
aye.
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 Thank you very much, guys.
You're welcome.
Good luck.
Thank you, appreciate it. It's the hardest one you guys can.
Yeah.
Did we have any,
No, you can have that as a souvenir.
we didn't have any administrative accessory apartments? I thought I had
I
one.
thought we had last,
No.
No?
No. She gave me all the paperwork, so
All right,
I'm
great.
confident there's
done,
nothing.
right?
Okay, so that concludes our meeting for tonight. I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Granted.
Granted. Happy 4th of July, everyone. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Good night.
good night.
Right, guys.